What's going on, guys? Just coming at you with another explained series here. This time I'm going to be doing my instrumental Project Skyzum, spelled Skyzum. It's pronounced Schism, but I've heard Skyzum and a bunch of other pronunciations. Whatever you want to pronounce it as, that's fine. So, pretty much the way that came about is there's a whole backstory, pretty much of how it eventually became a thing. But just if you want to see that in another video, I'll just speed past that. So pretty much after I ended one of the bands that I had, I was kind of like feeling, kind of depressed and stuff because I wasn't really like able to really make music with a band, and therefore not play live or anything. Didn't really have too much stuff recorded either at the time. I think I had one demo, and I was just going to college and working and stuff, and I was talking to one of my classmates, and then I showed her some lyrics that I'd written, and she thought they were pretty cool. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get back. I can do this. And, the time for being sad is over, and it's time to get back into it and everything. So I went through my laptop and looked at all my Tusk Guitar files because I was using Tusk Guitar at the time, and I saw one song that my brother and I wrote, and then I saw three more songs that were pretty good. I kind of like, and like at the time I was still like a beginner, so they were simple for me to play. And then I decided to write like one more, which was nothing like super crazy, just like an all bass song, really simple. I decided to take all of those and just make them an EP. I didn't have a mic at the time, so I just decided to have it be instrumental. I also didn't really want to write any additional lyrics, and the lyrics I'd written weren't fitting any of these songs. I didn't want to really add to them, really change anything. So I was like, just wanted to make music because I was tired of telling people I was a musician, and then when they asked me if I had music out, I say no, because that had been happening like a lot, which is another reason I was kind of getting down about it. So I was like, these songs are fine. It's going to be my first release. I'm not like a professional or nothing by any means. I'm just starting out. So at least I'll have something out there, right? So then I met up with Ket, and I would go to his house like once a week, and I would be out there for, all night, really. I mean, I would go out there probably like 4 or 5 and leave about midnight or so. Drive like 40 minutes out to his house where he lived at the time, and we just recorded. And it just really, there was going to be a lot of stuff on it, and I wasn't really exactly sure. Like, I never recorded really before, so I didn't know exactly how like certain things would translate over into actual like recording. I was on Tusk Guitar, and it was just kind of like it was like really difficult, but also really, really rewarding. I recorded the songs. Some songs didn't make it. Ket actually, was a really good producer for me. He like told me a lot of things that would work and wouldn't work, and some parts that were too difficult for me to play, he played for me. And I got to use like a lot of different like guitars and stuff like that, like higher end stuff. So I was using some like busted up Ibanez Geo that I bought from my brother for like $20. It had no volume knobs and stuff like that. And the whole process, excuse me, the whole process probably took about, it definitely took a few months, like probably about 6 or 7 months, just because, I was just so new to everything. I didn't know how to program drums. I didn't know how to like really play some of the stuff really that well on guitar. And then, there was also a song with keys, and just like, there was just a lot of stuff I didn't know how to do and like really couldn't do. But Kat really stepped in and helped me out with that a lot. We actually filmed it on like my old laptop, but and then there was like a little clips made and stuff. But pretty much, like, that's pretty much how Project Schism came into being. And that EP ended up being called Heavy Breathing, and artwork's right here. If you notice, it's the Heavy Breathing Cat. Because I was trying to come up with a name for it, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't really come up with anything, like I was still really new to this and everything. And then Kat pulled up Heavy Breathing artwork, and like, this should be your EP artwork. And I was like, hey, that's hilarious. And we were laughing about it. So he actually took it he took just the regular meme and put like planets on it and kind of like made it a little more like grainy, and it was like, yeah, pretty much the theme was like heavy breathing, and the cat was just like tripping balls because there was like stuff everywhere. We thought it was hilarious. So I released it, and to my surprise, I actually made about $30 off of it. I released it on Bandcamp back in like 2013, and I made like $30 off of it. That was enough to pay. I forgot what bill I was paying at the time, but that was enough to pay for like something. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So fast forward, when I did finally make Heavy Breathing, I actually had something to show people, like, hey, yeah, I did make music, here's something. That's when I started going to Soul Survival. And then I didn't really come back to Project Skyzum until like 2020. And that's when, because Soul Survival had been rolling. I was a full member of Sons of Iskar at the time. I had done a lot of fill-in gigs with Pitch Test, Nibiru, and Excruciating. I had played out of town. I had learned a lot and everything. And I was doing the Koja stuff. I was releasing Soul Survival stuff, or working on releasing Soul Survival stuff. And I did a playthrough for Birds off of my Heavy Breathing EP, and I was like, I really should work on more stuff. So actually, after I filmed that playthrough, I kind of went back to it. I went and just started writing new stuff, and I kept it instrumental, and that kind of became its defining trait. Really, it's instrumental. There's no vocals, no words, no any kind of background singing, nothing. It's all instruments. So I was just, something was just like telling me to go back and do another Project Skyzum project. So I did, and that ended up being Tony D. Kage, which is the shirt I'm wearing here. That's the artwork for it. I'll explain that in the Art Explained video. But I just started really writing. I found a formula. I went and took Heavy Breathing off of Bandcamp. I took it off everywhere. Took it off Bandcamp, YouTube, everywhere it was. And I went back and looked at what I did there. Like, if there was some kind of maybe, like, not necessarily a theme to follow, but just like a structure of how the project goes. And so pretty much there was like one thing I found, which is like one song was all bass. I want to have an all bass song. It was just like nothing but bass. And so I took Birds, and then I was like, okay, all bass song. And that ended up being Eyes. And then I decided to do an all bass song. Well, I guess I should do an all guitar song with just guitars. So no drums, no bass, just guitars. And so I did that with Journey. And then I still wanted to be like a story, because of course everything has to be a story. Like with Project Skyzum, I had Birds, which is the intro. Then I had Country Chimes, and Birds is just all bass, and there was Country Chimes that just had piano and bass and bells. And then A Lullaby by the Name of the King, everything came together, and there was drums, bass, guitar, and there was like the midway track, right? And then I had Scrawlers, which was like the super crazy fast, like frenetic, super metal track. And then I had Turquoise Fire Racing Through the Plains, which is like a more grand, like building finale track that had like flute and stuff like that, all these crazy guitar runs and stuff, and like went through different moods, and actually used that song to get an A+ on a religion project. That was cool. So I was like, okay, so pretty much all bass song, all guitar song, and a final crazy song. So when I was sitting down to write Tony D. Kage, which of course is anime inspired, Tony D, Monkey D. Luffy, One Piece, and then, Kage, Naruto, and then of course, the shirt with the flowing robe and everything, so this one's super anime inspired, whereas the first one was just like, so this one actually had more direction, more like purpose behind it, and more intention. So the way I came up with it, I was like, okay, well, I wanted to be like a full, like more like an album, so 6 songs, good amount of length. So I actually wrote Begin the Cycle when I wrote Heavy Breathing, and that song was originally called Marching War. That's what it was called. It was really called Marching War, and I actually released that on SoundCloud way before I ever went back to Project Schism. I just released it to have it be out there. And so when I look, and it was originally the Tony DeKage was going to originally be an album more themed around nature, and it was going to be called Anther Spence, which is something that my bio teacher like called me accidentally when she was reading Roll one day in college. So I decided to scrap that whole concept because when I first created the concept, I wasn't. I was feeling like more like connected to nature and stuff like that. But when I went back to start writing Tony DeKage, I was like, not really vibing with this right now. You know, I had like prototype artwork for it and everything, but I was like, not really vibing with it. So I decided to make it, more anime based. And then that's how all the titles came along. You got Begin the Cycle, Cycle of Hatred, Naruto, Journey, Eyes, Hockey, Eyes, and then Sharingan Eyes, Byakugan Eyes, and then just any kind of anime eyes you like, like Code Geass Eyes, any eyes, and then of course the journey that every anime character takes and stuff like that. You got Power Up, which was like the final 8-minute track, that has like a bunch of different moods and stuff like that. You got Bijou, which is After the Tailed Beast, which has me and all my buddies on it that I used to play with. And it's just like it was just like a huge thing, and it was it was like really, really cool. Because you haven't seen those YouTubers and they do like the biggest raid collabs in the world or like this featuring this. It was really cool to see all this come together because Bijou took a year to make. Because I had to, first of all, write the track, write all the, the backing guitars and bass and drums and everything. And I had to talk to the people I wanted to play on it. I had to send them their parts in both Guitar Pro and the actual audio so they could actually see what the parts were and everything, told them the tuning and stuff. And then they had to record their parts and then send them to me. And some of them actually came over to my house, which you can see in the interview videos. I interviewed every single person who soloed on it. And some of them sent them to me. And some of them I actually had to go to record. And so it took a year to do that, because not only that, I wanted to do a video for it, so they also had to video themselves playing it, which was really amusing to see for some people. It was really a lot of fun. There was really just like a really massive undertaking, because I was doing a lot of stuff I'd never really done before, as far as just idea wise. It was just, to me, it just seemed like really extreme and kind of just like all in. Because it was just such a progression. It went from like Begin the Cycle, which is pretty much the same stuff until Ket Solo comes in and I do my little tapping thing, and it just ended up being really cool, to have all my homies and my buddies on this record and just have fun with it, because these are people that I've played with on stage multiple times and known for years, and just to have everybody come together on it was just awesome. And the whole album was just amazing. Just amazing to create, all the collaboration, all the effort that went into it. And it was also kind of like antagonizing, just to be like, oh my God, like there's so much stuff gotta do with blocks. I actually put myself on deadlines and stuff. And it was just like really, really cool to watch everything come together for that entire album. And yeah, so that was the whole, premise behind Tony DeKage. And I guess the Project Schism is probably the most important project that I did, just because it's what started everything. Like without Heavy Breathing, I wouldn't have gotten revitalized to, redo Soul Survival. And then of course Soul Survival grew, and then, I ended up being in Sons of Iskar and like doing all its feelings and stuff like that. And it just ended up being really, really important, surprisingly. And it's definitely unique from everything else I do, because there's no vocals, no lyrics, no nothing. It's just all instruments, just drums, bass, guitar, keys, and whatever. It's more atmosphere building, and it's more like mood shifting. And I guess in some ways it kind of brings you in more than like some of the lyrical stuff I do with my other projects. Like when I wrote Devil Fruit for Tony DeKage based off One Piece. Just that's probably my favorite track, just that whole mood. It just brings you in. It's just like super crazy and fast, and it's like probably the hardest song on the album to play too. There's just a bunch of screen skipping, a bunch of crazy stuff. But just like, it's the one that really started it. you know, and it's probably been the most difficult one to do, just because it's all me, you know, and it's just insane, really. But it was the first project I really released to show people, hey, I do make music. This is what I have, and it's really killer. You know, I have two EPs planned for that this year. I'm gonna do a re-release of Heavy Breathing and do one more based off a couple other things that are not anime. So yeah, I just really wanted to explain y'all Project Schism, you know, why it's instrumental. It's not any particular reason. It's mainly because I just didn't have a mic at the time, and I also, you know, wasn't recording myself. I didn't have an interface or anything. I just had like my bass and that beat up Ibanez Geo, and that was it. And I didn't feel like writing lyrics, so it's not any particular reason. I just didn't have the equipment necessary to record vocals, so I just didn't. And you know, when I did Heavy Breathing, I was like, you know, maybe I can't put vocals on the next one, but I'm just like, just keep it instrumental, just like keep it unique from everything else that you're doing. And it was like the first thing I ever released to show the world that I'm a real musician, and you know, make me feel like I was an actual musician. And it's just a really fun project, really, because I can just do anything, you know. Like I like anything I want to do and think. I'm just like, don't need to worry about lyrics here or staying in key or whether to do screams or cleans, or you know, and just like, hey, that riff, that solo, you know, it's cool because you get to collaborate with people and be like, hey man, like, you want to do this solo? And they're like, yeah, dude, this song sounds killer. And I let them choose which solo they did and everything. And just like I got a lot of feedback on it. Like when I was writing like the little bass solo for Eyes, I asked like my lead guitar DJ, hey, like, yo, what do you think of this part? You know, it was like just really, really cool, and it's kind of like freeing, you know, because there's not really anything you have to write yourself into a box or like stay in, you know, like maybe with Soul Survival or Coach or anything like that. So it was just really, really cool just to do, and it's a really awesome, fun little project that you can just get crazy with and, you know, do crazy ideas with. But yeah, that was pretty much Project Schism. All the links for the videos I mentioned, I'll probably just make them a playlist and put the link for that down there. Go check it out. Got 2 projects on that coming this year. I'm really excited. I actually was going to just do one project, and when I went back on the files, I was like, oh, I actually have this project here too. Why not just do both? So I actually forgot about one project. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea behind it. Probably the most important project I've done. It was the first, and it put me right on that path to, you know, get back into making music and start another band, and it just really ended up doing a lot for me, and now here I am. So if you guys like this video, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for watching, and rock on.